Oil change on a VW Beetle, a beginner's guide. Today we're talking about something basic, but super important, changing the oil in the legendary VW Beetle. So, let's take a look. What type of oil does the Beetle use? How much does it need? And how often should you change it? In today's episode, we're changing the engine oil on a Beetle. It's one of the basic things every owner should know. Nothing complicated at all. There are plenty of videos on YouTube about this. Here's my humble contribution. Before you start, let the engine run for 5 to 10 minutes so the oil becomes thinner. I always first move the warm air intake hose on the air filter to make it easier to access the oil filler cap. It's located right here. I remove the cap and I also pull out the dipstick to prevent air bubbles from getting trapped in the engine when I pour in the new oil. This way, the air can escape freely as the oil level rises. For the oil change, the only tool we need is a 10mm wrench. I'm using this one. Unscrew the 6 bolts holding the sump plate. Expect some oil to start dripping as you remove the bolts, so place a container underneath to catch the old oil. Remove the sump plate. Underneath it, you'll find the first gasket, which we take off. Next comes the oil filter, or rather the so-called oil strainer. You might need to help loosen it a bit with a screwdriver, but be gentle. It's made of aluminum and can easily bend. Once you remove the oil strainer, underneath there's another gasket. We remove that one too. The Beetle's oil filter is really just a screen that catches dirt. I'm going to clean it with a degreaser that has a funny name, Fat Enemy. It works great. I use a brush to scrub off the grease and dirt to make it easier to remove the gunky buildup. I also clean the sump plate. There we go. Now everything is clean. I'll lightly sand off some leftover dirt on the oil strainer with sandpaper. VW Beetles with air-cooled engines don't have a liquid cooling system, so the oil is critical for keeping the engine cool. That's why it's important to use the right oil, viscosity, and quality. The most commonly recommended is SAE 15W40 mineral oil. If you live in a hotter climate, you can go for 20W50, and for winter, 10W30 is a good choice. Definitely not synthetic oil, unless your engine has been rebuilt for it. Here are the new gaskets I'm going to install to replace the old ones. The kit comes with 2 gaskets and 6 small washers. There's also this large washer, which is used on some Beetles that have a 7th larger bolt on the sump plate. It acts as a drain plug. That's for oil changes where you don't have to remove and clean the oil strainer. If you have that set up, you should clean the oil strainer every 3rd oil change. I have to do it with every oil change, which honestly isn't a bad thing. It means I always have a clean oil strainer with every oil change. Now I'm putting on the first gasket. Then the oil strainer. Then the second gasket. Now I'm installing the sump plate and screwing in the bolts with the washers. It's a bit tricky when doing this one-handed. If you have the car on a lift or you're working in a garage pit, you'd be using both hands. I'm doing all of this on my grassy yard, in my garage. Be careful when tightening these bolts, they can easily get damaged or snap if over-tightened. The specified torque, according to the VW service manual, is 6.8 Newton meters. So be really careful if you don't have a torque wrench. For classic VW Beetles, Type 1, oil should be changed every 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers, or once a year if you don't reach that mileage. If you drive a lot in city traffic, it's best to change it every 3,000 kilometers, since the oil breaks down faster from heat. Put down an old rag to avoid getting oil on the engine when pouring it in. I made a funnel out of an old bottle that I use for pouring oil into the engine. The Beetle needs 2.5 liters of oil. Be sure to check the dipstick after filling. I like to twist it a bit when pulling it out so it picks up the oil nicely. The oil level should be roughly between the two marks on the dipstick. I put the hose back in place and replace the oil filler cap. Let the engine run for a minute or two. Check if there are any leaks. And of course, check the dipstick again for the oil level. Later on, check the oil every 500 to 1,000 kilometers. I changed the oil on my Beetle, and I hope this video was helpful. As you saw, it's not difficult at all. You just need to pay attention to a few details, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. See you next time.